So Four Nights of the Apocalypse chapter 95 is currently out, and I have to say, another solid chapter. Honestly, this arc is shaping up to be relatively good. I doubt it's going to be at the peaks of the Leonis arc, but it's certainly gearing up to be something pretty good. And the action in this section that we actually get is really nice, and we get the matchups for this arc. But let's not beat around the bush anymore. Let's hit that intro and get right into the chapter. Chapter 95 of Four Nights of the Apocalypse, titled Assassins in the Night. And first off, I like this cover image that basically just shows a full map of Walnak, which shows where Tristan is, Percival's group is, Isolde and On, and funnily enough, Lancelot and Gawain are actually back at the inn, which is honestly kind of hilarious. So, and all four of these groups are in different sections, different corners of this whole walled city. So honestly, pretty interesting, and Tristan is very far removed from everyone else, so he's definitely gonna be on his own for a little while. But yes, the chapter starts off with Percival's group consisting of Percival, Nazians, Donnie, and Chion as they're trying to look for Tristan, and they notice from last chapter, when the barriers appeared, that they actually managed to sense Tristan's power for a brief second, and it just disappeared. And Percival ends up putting two and two together, realizing that this must be the weird feeling that Lancelot was talking about ever since they came into town. But Chion then gets on everyone's case and says that if that's true, then they wouldn't have noticed if there were assassins anywhere, and tells Jade that they have to hurry and find Tristan and the woman. But then he notices that Jade isn't around. We then cut to On and Isolde as they're trying to look for Tristan after feeling that instance of where Tristan's power is, but they don't know exactly where he is in the city. But On grabs Isolde and tells her to calm down and to wait a second. Nothing was clear, and if she sensed anybody besides Tristan, because On actually sensed somebody was behind them, which is foreboding. As we then cut back to Tristan as he fights Io, and Io lunges at him from where she was standing previously and lunges in attack, forming her right arm into the form of a spear-like object and trying to pierce him. A real tone shifter from, well, her trying to talk to Tristan, and then I guess once the barrier broke and went back up, she decided, yeah, I'm just gonna not do anything, I'm just gonna take him out right now. But yeah, Tristan dodges, and then he activates his goddess powers, imbuing one of his swords, the white sword, which I'm gonna guess is the sword named Mael. But anyway, she manages to evade a wholly charged attack and jumps against the walls in order to get high up to get better ground. She then stops midair at the top of the wall as Tristan asks her. She said that she is not from Camelot, but is essentially trying to attack him right now, asking what her purpose is. It's because you have hostilities towards the goddess clan. And then he says, or if not, he closes his left eye and opens it up, showing that he can actually activate his demon half while with his goddess half at the same time. Now, if I remember back in back in the Leonis arc when they were confronting Pelgard, when they basically all four knights assembled in the mist, we actually saw that Tristan had his goddess and demon eye active at the same time, but I'm guessing he probably can't keep that going for too long. Either way, this actually looks really cool. And he basically just says, do you bear a grudge against my father, a traitor to the demon clan? Which is interesting because the Cursed by Light movie is canon. Zeldris right now should be the demon king. So why would Meliodas still kind of be considered a traitor? I mean, by now, Holy War is done. Meliodas helped save Demon World and basically took out the Supreme Deity and the Demon King, and basically helped Zeldris protect the Demon Clan. So perhaps bygones be bygones, but then again, 3,000 years of hatred and stuff like that, so maybe not all demons kind of forgave Meliodas with Zeldris as king now, I don't know. But Io's not listening and just seemingly creates like an elastic substance and blasts it out of her mouth, tying it to Tristan's right leg and tying him to the ground. Tristan tries to break it with this enchanted sword, but it's not cutting. She then runs up and punches Tristan right in the face. Tristan then tries to use his torch to burn off the elastic substance, but it's not working. The elastic substance then ricochets him back, flings him back towards Io, as she says, your reasoning is completely irrelevant. As she then punches him, as I like this image here, where the rubber elastic substance keeps flinging Tristan towards her with, how rubber tends to stretch out and, contract back. She just continues to hit him over and over and over again. Which I'm curious to see, is Tristan actually fully being overpowered, or is he just in a bad situation where he can't fully utilize his own strength? Also, I wonder what she calls this ability that she's using. Is it bungee gum? Because, honestly, I don't know if you know this, but bungee gum has the properties of rubber and gum. Hunter x Hunter reference there right now. I miss doing Hunter x Hunter stuff, so I wanted to get that in there. But you tell me, with how she was utilizing that elastic substance, that you did not think of bungee gum. Okay, obligatory Hunter x Hunter reference, insert over. Back to the chapter. We then go from this high-stakes situation to Percival being the pure cinnamon roll that he actually is, and is calling out to Tristan in the most wholesome way possible. Nazien then asks Jian if perhaps Tristan went back to the inn, but Jian just says, what would you do if an enemy gets to him and a fight breaks out? Donnie says, well, with this many people, do you really think a fight's going to break out? And Jian says, there are so many back alleys in this town I can't even count, which, again, I hate to say it, but Jian is actually making some sense here. So, yeah. Percival then joyously calls Tristan's name, but then it's just, him bring up the fact that Tristan told him that the roads can be so narrow that barely a person can fit in there, and he's just mesmerized by this whole area. Again, Percival is just a precious cinnamon roll that's basically been raised in isolation for his entire life. This is the second big city that he's actually been to with such a different design. Then Donnie brings up that Jian especially, but also him and Isolde, are being pretty overprotective of Tristan. And then he gives a very punchable, repugnant face as he says, of course, to say we owe him our lives is no exaggeration. But then Donnie brings up an interesting point. Jian is part of the royal family too. I mean, his mother was the first princess of Leonis. And brings up, isn't it kind of weird that you're clinging to Tristan in the same group like this? But Jian just says, just say what you like, I don't really care. And then Nazien's actually brings up a very interesting point. Why doesn't Jian just use his spirit, since he's a spirit user, to help them? And Jian is like, that's true. Why the heck did I not think of this sooner? But Jian has to take the mood out of it by basically saying that Nazien's will serve him well. Ah, man. Why not just take the suggestion and just leave it at that, man? But yeah, he takes out the gem to call spirit and he tries to enchant, but all of a sudden, everyone notices he doesn't say a word, and then Percival's trying to speak, but no one else can speak. There is no sound, their voices aren't coming out. Jian is wondering if it's a sylph's doing, but he didn't see anything anywhere. He then drops the diamond containing his spirit, and then realizes it's not just voices. The sound itself is gone. It's not his sylph's doing. And then Percival is then knocked right into him, as in front of them, we see one of the Camelot assassins, McDuff, towering over them menacingly. So that's our matchup, McDuff against Donnie, Percival, Nazienz, and Jian. Let's see how Jian overcomes his pride to actually help these guys. I'm calling it now. Jian's going to try and ditch this group so we can go and help Tristan, and basically use Percival's group as a diversion. I'm probably selling him too short, but then again, he did try to kill them in the last arc, so apples and oranges, I guess. We then cut back to Anna and Isolde's group as they're trying to figure out what the presence on Sensed was. And then someone grabs Isolde's shoulder from behind, spooking her, as she then throws her mace from behind her to try and attack whoever grabbed her. And it turns out it was Jade. As, yeah, he just was concerned that it was just the two of them to figure everything out, so he figured he would lend a hand. We know unfortunately, from the chapters that I wasn't able to cover, that Jade actually has a crush on Isolde. So, obviously, he was very much worried about her specifically at this point in time. And Jade's just trying to brush it off. Come on, it's been a long time, you were way too reckless. And An is just standing idly by, watching them as she just quickly sees that Jade has a huge crush on Isolde at this moment. Also, she has a very smug face. Is like, interesting. I feel like when things calm down, An's gonna try and have some fun with this, trying to see if Jade could actually like admit that he likes Isolde in front of her, maybe have him confess or something, or just to watch the chaos unfold. I'm fine with either, but I think An would probably try and get Jade to have him confess his feelings. Anyway, Isolde is just thinks that Anna was kind of being paranoid and that the presence that she felt was Jade and he was from the side but not from the rear. As Jade is wondering, what are they talking about? And Isolde is just like, oh, Anna just sensed a presence, as she then turns down the alleyway, sees someone pointing a bow and arrow, as an arrow seemingly gets shot right towards them, hitting the wall. Now, something is very suspicious about this arrow as it seems to curve. And then we see one of Arthur's other assassins that was with McDuff stating, "Don't dodge every shot. Don't you want a quick and painless death?" as she just walks out of the alleyway shadows. Honestly, she is very, very menacing. Her name is Tianich, I think. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. So, right now, she comes out of the alleyway to confront them. As Isolde basically brings two and two together, stating that she's probably a Chaos Knight, Tianich smiles as we see that what hit the wall wasn't an arrow, seemingly, but a snake. And that is the end of the chapter, as we're wondering, what is her power that is creeping behind our main group? But yeah, like I said, pretty solid chapter. Honestly, this was really short. Nothing too much of note happened, save for Tristan kind of getting his butt kicked right now. I don't know if this is more of a situational type of thing, due to the fact he doesn't know the enemy's abilities. He's in a tight space, and he can't maneuver around as much. But Io does seem to have the advantage in terms of agility and a versatile ability by getting the jump on Tristan. I feel like if Tristan fully gives into his demon half or makes some sort of combo attack, he'll get out of this. But now I'm wondering, Lancelot probably would have been able to deal with this relatively quickly, because, you know, he's the smartest character in his entire group right now. Plus, from what we've seen, he's a pretty good strategist. Now, originally, from Guinevere's vision, Lancelot was supposed to be the one to meet Io, but then ended up being Tristan due to sheer alterations of fate due to specific decision making. And something that I saw on social media before, apparently the knights from the vision that Guinevere had were wearing armor. And it is the two specific knights that we see in this arc, but they're not wearing armor. Perhaps Arthur told them not to wear armor so they'd be easier to sneak up on the others. But yeah, so fate's already changing, and perhaps these things probably wouldn't have gotten so bad if it was Lancelot. So I'm curious to see how Tristan's going to deal with the situation, what this demon Io actually wants. Maybe she has a connection to Zeldris. Maybe she has a connection to Merlin for all we know, and maybe she's just testing Tristan or something. I'm very curious on this, and I can't wait to find out. We'll probably find out within the next 2-3 chapters, because we might get more focus on the Chaos Knight matchups. Speaking of which, I'm curious to see how those fights will play out, because these groups are very different, because out of the 3 fights that are happening right now, 2 of them have Night of the Apocalypse, and 1 of them is just a one-on-one. Meanwhile, Lancelot and Gawain are off at the end. So right now, this arc is seemingly going to be just these 3 main battles. And I'm curious to see what McDuff's ability is, aside from just canceling out all sound, seemingly. And Tianich's ability probably has something to do with snakes, for all we know. But yeah, I honestly think Isolde and Jade will probably have the toughest time due to the fact they don't have an Night of the Apocalypse. But this is also a good chance to see what they're capable of on their own, to show that this supporting cast in this group isn't helpless without one of the 4 title characters. Or they'll be on the receiving end and Lancelot or Gawain will show up to save them. I want to say Gawain, but she did state in the last chapter that she'd be very tired after using Absolute Cancel on such a large scale. So it could be Lancelot if someone's going to save them. But I honestly do hope that these 3 manage to take on this Chaos Knight on their own. Tristan will find a way to beat his opponent. Percival's group will probably be McDuff in some way or fashion. Either way, I'm excited to see how this turns out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. What did you guys think of this chapter? What do you think of the fight with Tristan? What do you think that he's basically fighting a demon with bungee gum? And how do you think the fights with McDuff and Tianich will play out in these specific groups? And what do you think is going to happen next with this arc? Thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Once more, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos where this help. I'm trying to keep up these 4 Nights content as much as I possibly can. And I'm also doing shorts for 4 Nights and 7 Deadly Sins, as well as some other stuff as well. So look forward to those, because I'm going to try and do those a lot more frequently. And any all help would be very much appreciated. But with all that's said and done, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you all have an awesome day.